Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
The snow shovels, everybody. Oh my goodness. Wow, what a blanket we have today. Appreciate you being with us. Jim Coyle with you here on this fine snowy Friday. A full load out there of about at least 6 inches. I guess it depends on where you are. Man, the southern part of the state, big old blanket belted. I think it was less as you go north, up north. But how you doing? Appreciate you being with us. Glad to have you no matter what. End of the week. It's a Friday, but it is the end of the week of what has to be the two greatest back-to-back weekends in the history of IU athletics. Bold statement there, but and I'm sure that we could find something to debate it with, especially when you're talking a national championship and basketball. But to bookend this thing, they played for the football Big Ten championship a week ago against the number one team in the country and won. And they achieved a 13-0 season. Pretty damn big deal right there. And basketball was playing against number 6 Louisville, very local rival. The following weekend, you're at the Heisman Trophy with the leading candidate, the overwhelming leading candidate to win. And the basketball team is resuming a series that's been lying dormant for over a decade against what I think is the most I don't like to use the word hated, most despised rival, Kentucky. The greatest basketball series in college basketball that was just interrupted unnecessarily there. But it's resuming. So you've got these two back-to-back weekends, and this bookends it. Indiana likely going to win the Heisman the week after winning the Big Ten championship and vaulting to the number one spot in all of college football. Amazing. Kurt Cignetti wins the Walter Camp Coach of the Year award for the second year in a row. The first coach in the 59-year history of that award to go back-to-back. Fernando Mendoza received the Walter Camp Award, which is the most outstanding player in the country. The AP last night announced Fernando Mendoza as the College Football Player of the Year. Little history, the last 9 AP Players of the Year went on to win the Heisman. That and the fact that he is an overwhelming betting favorite right now. Looking good for Fernando. Now, with all this stuff, Yankees wondering, am I still infatuated with Notre Dame? I'm not infatuated with Notre Dame. Why would I be infatuated with a loser? They're out, baby. No infatuation. They're infatuated with getting in. Oh, that's a whole nother story. They whined and cried, and so behind the scenes, they were supposedly getting this double secret. Oh, okay, we'll make sure you get in next time so you don't have to go crying so much. And now that leaked out, and people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here with that? That's Notre Dame. That's that. There you go. We didn't get our way. What? Oh. So, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the Notre Dame debate has been fun because I think it's the dumbest thing. I'm like, you got nothing. You got nothing if you're crying for Notre Dame. You can stop at you lost to Miami. Hello. Don't lose to a team that you think you should be in bet over. Don't lose at home to a team that has a marginally better schedule or a resume than you do. Texas A&M's resume is horrible. Go beat somebody. Don't play the last place team in every freaking Power 4 conference and act like you've done something. Good Lord. Sharon Moore. Holy cow. Michigan. A Michigan man. Boy, oh boy, you got to hand it to Michigan. They got standards. By God. You can teach your ass off, lie, steal, avoid investigators, disguise yourself, throw your phone in a pond, or delete everything that you have after being told not to do it. That's okay. That's not a problem. You were trying to win a football game for us. We're good with that. Oh, you're not the coach we were hoping you were going to be, and you're having a relationship that we can use as an excuse to get rid of you. But regardless of that hire, I said this a long time ago. That Michigan hire was a thank you for taking the bullet for the cheating scandal. And how do they follow that up? With another scandal. They're getting what they deserve. It's kind of funny. People are getting they're getting what they reward now or deserve now, and that did not used to happen in college athletics. The big boys are getting it right in the mouth. Notre Dame, hey, join a conference, do something. Punched in the mouth. Michigan, punched in the mouth. Hey, Vanderbilt, Indiana, flying high, baby, flying high. Diego Pavia named first team All-American by On 3. I know a lot of people had issues with that. Here's the thing. Fernando's not going to win all the awards. Everyone's not going to give it to the same guy. For one, that's a little boring, and they want to be a little different. But there's a good argument for, and he's the only one there's a good argument for, Diego Pavia. How good would Indiana be with Diego Pavia? Would they be as good? I would think so. He's a pretty damn good quarterback, and if you put him under Kurt Signetti, I think you'd have a similar situation. And I think the same with Fernando at Vanderbilt. He would have been very successful for them. But if you took Julian Sayin and put him on Vanderbilt's team, do I think Vanderbilt is as good as they were? No, I don't. He wouldn't have had the tools around him that he did there. So just a little thought on that. But yeah, Brian says probably a clause that allows Michigan to not pay if you break into another employee's house with a knife. Yeah, that's a whole nother situation. Crazy does not even begin to describe it. I mean, what in the wide, wide world of sports is going on up in Michigan. Andrew asking, is Kalen DeBoer going to Michigan? You know, I'll be honest with you. It would be the perfect move for him. He's a northern guy. They would take any kind of normalcy right now. And the one thing that Kalen DeBoer is normal. The one thing he is not is a cheater. The one thing he is not is a problematic person. He's not going to be, this is not going to be happening under Kalen DeBoer, number one. Number two, he's a hell of a coach. He's a coach. Better than what they have now. I mean, I'm not saying that there's any truth to this, but I'm not saying that there's not, because it would be a good match. And in any other lifetime, no. You would not see the coach at Alabama leaving to go to Penn State, especially the coach of an Alabama team that's in the college football playoffs. But we're not in a normal time anymore. Life has changed. It's different. Gone as far as how it used to be. But I think that may be a better matchup for him, because Michigan, they just want to win. They don't care how, obviously. Jamie says, so do I think all this buzz about Notre Dame's independence makes Michigan think differently about this private equity group? I think Michigan's got bigger problems to worry about right now, is my honest answer. Michigan wants to be Notre Dame. Michigan wants to be Ohio State. They just can't admit that. So they would probably privately admit to Notre Dame instead. And by that, I mean having the autonomy that they do. But what they also don't get is all of the good things that come from being in a conference, being in the Big Ten. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Crap. What a load of crap with this trying to sneak. Oh, we'll make sure you get in next time. Don't you be careful, be good, be easy, just chill, and we'll make sure you're good next time. Like last year, the SEC got 3 teams in, deservingly so. Whined and moaned and bitched and cried. Oh, well, there's got to be changes. It's got to be changes, but it doesn't work for somebody. Oh, well, doesn't work for us at Notre Dame. We've got to make some changes here. Where you gonna go? You gonna start your own damn tournament with all the independents, both of you and UConn? You know, how does Notre Dame? I'd like to know how in the hell Notre Dame has so much power. What the hell are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Screw Notre Dame. Join a freaking conference. Play 9 conference games. Get in a conference championship. I don't care if you get in a conference championship or not, but play the 9 conference games. And quit cherry picking the last place teams of every stinking conference. What a joke. But who cares? It's I can't imagine there not being. And here's another thing. It's just like schedule changes. Back, a couple of years ago, it would take a constitutional amendment to change a college football schedule. Now it's like, oh, we need to change that. Change it. College football playoffs. Well, these contracts, they're set in solid stone. This can't be touched until 2080. This is not working. We got to change this. Oh, yeah. So I expect there to be some change for next year, but it's just funny how, this didn't work for us. This has got to change. Big basketball game this weekend. I talked about the bookends. Indiana, better chance of winning this game than last weekend? Question mark. Because the last weekend, they were playing a much better team. but they were playing in an environment that was as close to a home environment for them as you're going to get between these two games, because tomorrow is as far from that as it can be. Rupp Arena in Lexington. Is this a must-win for Indiana? No, not a must-win. It would be a nice win, but it would be a really, really good win because of where it is and how tough that makes it. But it's not like they're the number anything team in the country. They've been stinking. I mean, losing to them kind of looks bad, to be honest with you. Even though it's on the road, I mean, I'm not going to say it looks bad since it is on the road, but you're not gaining anything. Hey, let's take a break. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com is going to join us. We got a lot to talk about there. Heisman Trophy winner. Just the records that have been set are crazy. I would have to take some serious time and do research as to all that has been lined up, and I'm sure that that has been done at the Hoosier.com, and where you can go find, and where you should be subscribing. And the first person, or any of you today, all day, doesn't matter when you hear this, when you're listening, how you're listening, if you subscribe to the Hoosier.com today and email me at indianasportsbeat@gmail.com, I'll send you, here is a champion quarter zip IU Indiana embroidered with the ISB logo on there as well. Champion product. Get you that. That's it. That's all you got to do. Go subscribe. You get a free year of The Athletic as well, and entered into the grand prize Christmas giveaway, which is a $400 deal. So lots more coming up. Back with all of that and more on the other side. Appreciate you being with us. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Friday, a freaky Friday full of fun and frivolity. And Alec Lasley. How's it go? I couldn't make that work, man. I was like, that's not going to, it was rolling and lost the steam, man. Lost the steam. How are things over on your Indianapolis side of the world? You probably didn't get as much snow.
Yeah, we got maybe close to 2 inches, nothing too crazy, but
we got close to 2 inches. This is like 6-7 inches. Just that's crazy. I mean, So we're not talking that much difference in the north-south there. But that shows you that band, how big difference that was. Alec, a gigantic. Well, before we get to that, this Michigan thing. First of all, it's embarrassing I think it's embarrassing for the Big Ten, but Michigan deserves this in a way, as sad as that is to say, because first of all, I think this hire was based off of a cheating scandal that he was a big part of. Secondly, that hire was just hey, thank you for taking the bullet on this and deleting all of that stuff out of your phone and not cooperating with investigators. We're going to give you the head coaching job for as long as you can keep it, which we know won't be long. And that's exactly what happened. Of course, they did have, it cracks me up. Here's, where did it just go? When the findings of a university investigation into Coach Moore's behavior of having this relationship presented on Wednesday, we immediately terminated his employment. I think this is from the Michigan president. But yet, funny, my memory seems to have recent information of Michigan cheating their ass off, lying to investigators, deleting information, throwing phones into ponds, disguising themselves to cheat into games, coaches being suspended years in a row. All of that is okay because you were trying to win a football game for us. But hey, my God, you can't cheat on your wife. We can't have that at Michigan. It's how preposterous is this really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's embarrassing for the university, for the program, right? What's considered, this would be like a, Duke, Carolina, Kansas type event on the basketball side, right? A team that's cemented in the history of the sport. Obviously, just a couple of years off winning a national championship. Most likely one game away from potentially playing in a Big Ten title this year and going to the college football playoff, right? So it's not like, Michigan was on a vastly lower tier than a lot of other programs here. I mean, they were still a top 15 team, top 17 team for the majority of the season, right? So, they still had talent. They had the best overall recruit in the 2025 class and Bryce Underwood, right? So there were a lot of things that were still going according to plan. They just didn't do all the extracurriculars that they needed to, and obviously in order to stay where they're at. But I think the biggest thing with this and the timing of everything, right, is it's a week after National Signing Day. This didn't come together in 2 or 3 days. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people are a little bit more outraged over, right? Is now you kind of screw the kids who obviously committed to Michigan and were either expecting to or wanted to play under Sharon Moore and this staff. Now they're either locked into their pledge to Michigan and their national letter of intent, or who knows what happens. Now they kind of open things up. A lot of classes are pretty much shut down for 2026 at this point, so who knows kind of where a lot of these kids go. I think that's the bigger thing. And, I'd started to hear about, certain things related to this 3-4 weeks ago. Right. So if people are hearing about it 3-4 weeks ago, it's not like this just came out of the blue for the university. And I think that's the biggest thing. The timing of everything is a little bit concerning, right? When you look at how the university did this. I was told that regardless of what happened with Ohio State that game, right, this was still going to be the outcome. But the fact the fact of the matter is, if they were talking about it that openly through back channels and donors and everything 3 weeks ago, probably a strong case that the university knew about it, and not to say that they were slow playing things, but you have to wonder the timing of everything. If they did have a little bit,
they didn't. I doubt that they just happened to find out about it
Yeah.
as soon right as the season came
Yeah.
to a close. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they were you're right. They're not gonna blow this season up, but at the same time, as I'd said, months ago, actually, I said, this is a temporary deal. But yeah, they kind of screwed themselves. But did they? I in any other lifetime, even someone should slap me for mentioning the possibility of someone like Kalen DeBoer leaving Alabama to go to Michigan. But this might be a much better fit for Kalen DeBoer. Northern guy, Alabama's got this belief that they can live like they were living in the world before, which were they were in this era before when you could pay when they were paying players, but no one else was outside of the SEC hardly. So, but this seems like it might be a better match for him. And Michigan needs, if they need anything, they need normalcy. They need a guy who is not going to, take them down some dirt road. Kalen DeBoer is not going to do that, and he's a hell of a coach. He will win.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree with anything you said there, but again, you look at the timing, right? They're getting ready to play in the first round game against Oklahoma, not even this weekend, right? Next weekend. So you have to wait another potentially 2 weeks. You have the transfer portal opening up in less than a month. There's probably going to be a mass exodus there from Michigan.
Regardless, it opens up almost immediately, though, when your coach leaves, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the full transfer portal. So when you're obviously going to have, yeah. So that opens January 2nd, I believe the date is, right? So you have a couple of weeks before, everything goes crazy. And the biggest thing that I think you look at with Michigan going after Kalen DeBoer is, right, you have two scenarios here. One, he loses in the first round and potentially then you can get him right away. But Michigan obviously doesn't have a lot of options, in my opinion. This is not, regardless that they won a national championship a couple of years ago, that was a vastly different program and a vastly different
national championship as well.
Well, but obviously you go from Harbaugh to Sharon Moore, it just did not have the same level of Michigan pull and Michigan feel that it did under Harbaugh. So kind of a vastly different way that Michigan's perceived, I think. Obviously still a top job, but you look at the coaching carousel and the cycle that we just went through over the past 3 weeks. A lot of coaches are locked into long-term contracts now. I saw Joel Klatt was like, make Dan Lanning and make Kurt Cignetti say no. Obviously, right, you can go ask around, but let's be honest, why would those two leave those two programs? You start looking around the rest of the country, and I don't know if there's many coaches where you're going to die on a hill to throw a bunch of money at, because there just hasn't been a lot of consistency winning at a high level from program to program with coaches who, logically could make that jump. So if you're then going to Kalen DeBoer, you go to a guy who Alabama fans wanted to fire after his first loss, year one. Every single loss, they wanted to get rid of him. He hasn't necessarily blown that program out of the water. I think there's a different feel around that Alabama program too, where you go from, Nick Saban and having, athletes upon athletes and super physical and strong mentally and physically built players to, I think you have a little bit of a weaker mindset with this Alabama team now. They seem to just act like they're a little bit too cool because they are playing for Alabama. Not to say that that's related to Kalen DeBoer or not, but it's interesting, obviously, to see that shift in mindset after Saban leaves and DeBoer takes over. He's won everywhere he's been, so that the winning aspect is not, in the conversation here, but it's, maybe some of those other things. But you go from a guy who's potentially coming off of a, mediocre year at Alabama. What makes you think that he's going to be able to win at a high level? And Michigan, right, doesn't want to win just 8 or 9 games. That's not, what their expectations are from a head coach and from a football program. They expect to be in a national title conversation every single year. And I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is that guy. And then on the flip side, what makes you think Kalen DeBoer, if he goes on a run, beats Oklahoma, beats Indiana, makes it into the semifinals, All right, what makes you think that he's going to want to make that shift and make that jump? He'll probably get a fat raise as well if you go to the semifinals, make a lot of money.
Oh yeah, he'll go from being the zero to the hero with a big fat new contract, baby.
Exactly. So it's a weird dynamic to be in from a coach that a lot of fans either want to fire, or you win 2 or 3 games and now you're getting an extension and a raise. So Michigan's in a really difficult spot.
That's something that that's another thing among many that has to change about, and it's specifically football, but the college game. Coaches leaving in the middle of a season, and I'm not blaming Lane Kiffin because it's how it's set up, but you would never see a head coach leave in the middle of the NFL playoffs, and the player thing, opting out, let's see, and just all this goofiness about moving the transfer portal in the middle of the season. It's just they've got to get that. It's got to be fixed. It will not work. I don't think on the long.
Yeah, but I don't know how you do that, right? Because most schools, unless you're on the non-semester schedule, right, starts up that first week of January. So a lot of these guys are enrolling early and obviously making that shift for the second semester to get there for spring ball. So unless you eliminate spring ball and you just have people enroll in the summer, there's no way to do it, because you can't have these coaches starting to recruit in, around National Signing Day, because they're still focused on high school and focused on ending the regular season and then getting into conference championships and then the college football playoff. So there's no feasible way to do it. And that's, unfortunately just the way that it's going to have to be. That's why you're going to see more and more, if they haven't done it already, more and more schools add more support staff who are just focused on the transfer portal. And you're seeing it more and more nowadays with the GMs. I don't think it's fully necessary to have a GM unless you have, a structured, X, Y, and Z couple guys who are just solely focused on the transfer portal and just solely focused on high school. And you kind of split that up into 2 different recruiting bases inside your program. But the head coach, you're seeing it with basketball too, right? A lot of people, is a segue over to Kentucky basketball, right? A lot of people are very frustrated with Mark Pope because, he's trying to kind of manage that whole program like the GM, like the Jerry Jones of the Cowboys. And I think that's, for a lot of reasons why they're struggling this year, because he's trying to do too much. And so you get into that with head coaches who, take a little bit of their, coaching away and are focused a little bit more on recruiting, and then the team struggles. And then obviously in turn, the recruiting may struggle, but there's just no other way to do it, unfortunately. So you're just going to have to find ways to build new spots inside your program for more recruiting coordinators, for more scouting services there, and see what you can do. Because it just there's no feasible way to change the calendar the way that it's at, unless you're going to blow up the entire school schedule that it currently stands at.
Yeah, and let's be honest, no one wants to see college football August 1st. College coaches don't want to see it August 1st, I don't think. I think that they want that little bit of extra practice time, because you're squeezing in the end of summer camp, fall camp, and squeezing them together. And you can see the difference. I mean, look at, I don't know of a team to pull out. Indiana. Well, Indiana's won. Game 1, Fernando Mendoza is he didn't throw a touchdown pass. The guy that leads the nation in touchdown passes just wasn't there just yet. They had to get, it takes a minute. And then, but it's going to be, we'll see. Hey, we got to take a break. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with me right now. Make sure you go there, get signed up, your subscription. What a great gift for either yourself or your favorite Hoosier for Christmas. I mean, it's the gift that gives them every day, because they get to use it every day. And they get a free subscription to The Athletic on top of that, and you get, or whoever purchases it, in a grand entry to the grand prize giveaway worth over $400. That includes an Adidas team issued IU basketball embroidered winter coat with hood, quarter zip, backpack. You're missing out. And anybody that subscribes today gets that free quarter zip I showed you earlier with the IU and ISB logo on it. Back with more right after these messages. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
When you see Lamar have an outing like that, how freeing is that to watch, and just what do you think kind of drove that?
Yeah, like you said a few times, he's had a couple nights where he struggled. Like, I was never worried about that. He's that level of a shooter. Now he's not going to do 44 every night, but he has that confidence. He puts in the work, every day, and it was fun to see him kind of get loose and kind of showcase, all that work he puts in.
The connectivity tonight.
There was Coach Darren DeVries of the Indiana Hoosiers after the most recent win, and actually ahead of tomorrow's game with Kentucky. The resumption of the best college basketball series in the country that has laid dormant for over a decade comes back to life like Indiana's football program has. Alec, I talked earlier. I have to think this has to be the biggest back-to-back weekend for Indiana athletics that I can come up with, because not only did you play for a Big Ten title, you won the Big Ten championship. You beat the number one team in the country. You beat the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes. You have become the number one team in football. You have the coach of the year, the player of the year. And now this weekend, and they played, number 6 Louisville in basketball, to this weekend, going to New York with a prohibitive favorite to win the Heisman. Another National Coach of the Year award has come along, AP Player of the Year, and then the series with Kentucky. I mean, does it really get bigger than that?
Yeah, I mean, no. And then, right, you have a 2-week kind of theoretical bye, right, with not a lot of huge IU related sports, and then you have the Rose Bowl.
Little something, by the way. Yeah, a little game.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a tremendous December for the Indiana program, the Indiana University, the entire athletic department. I mean, everything that you could possibly want to happen to your athletic department is really coming to fruition. And that doesn't even include obviously a lot of huge things on the basketball side, right? So I mean, if they won that Louisville game, maybe you get a little bit more buzz. I feel like this is Yeah, well, look, we always want to talk about how Kentucky and Indiana, right, are up there with one of the top, if not the top, rivalry in all of college basketball, and you get into the different rivalries all across the sports, but one that hasn't obviously happened in quite some time, one that doesn't bring in a lot of buzz. You have a team really struggling in Kentucky, who's lost every notable game so far this season. You have Indiana, coming off of two losses to obviously Minnesota and Louisville, both teams out of the top 25. Kind of loses a little bit of that. It's playing at the same time as the Heisman Trophy presentation, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, you have Dickie V and Charles Barkley on the call, which should be entertaining in itself.
Oh my goodness!
And Darren DeVries kind of talked about it. We asked him yesterday kind of what his memories are of just the Kentucky Indiana series from growing up, from being a coach, obviously from being around basketball. And the first thing that he mentioned was obviously the watch shot, and said that he got to talk to Dick Vitale a little bit about that. Obviously, he called the game back then. And he'll be calling it here on Saturday. So he said he got to talk to him a little bit about that and just kind of what the rivalry means to him too. So, I mean, it's going to be fun regardless, but I think in a very underrated way. I know you said it's not a must win necessarily. I think it's pretty close to a must win for both teams. And if so, it's probably going to
definitely Kentucky. I mean, how must win in the sense of, well, must win in a couple ways, to be honest with you. First of all, the sense of they haven't beaten anyone. They're kind of like Indiana of the last few years, with their opportunities to get quality wins have gone by the wayside, and not well. They've not just lost; they've gotten beat down again, like Indiana dealt with the last few years. So this is their last chance, and Indiana's not exactly. They're not even a top 25 team right now. So this isn't even that, but it's just, and then from a fan standpoint, boy, the pressure just builds and it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger thing, right, for Kentucky is because they have lost all their other notable games. That it's obviously a big game for that, but it's more important because they're at home. Everyone is kind of almost 2 feet out of this season for Kentucky, and that's crazy to think about since we're just a little over a month in. The reason I think it's a little bit more of a must-win for Indiana, Kentucky still has St. John's coming up. So they still have a notable non-conference opponent. Indiana's non-conference schedule is absolutely terrible. Let's say it what it is, right? I mean, they have not done anything in the non-conference. They've beaten the brakes off of Kansas State and Marquette, two teams that have absolutely struggled in the non-conference now. And we look back at this schedule in probably a month. Marquette's not going to be a tournament team. Kansas State, probably not a tournament team. We'll see where they end up. But neither of those two teams, which were kind of the second tier outside of what was expected to be Kentucky and Louisville, right, have done absolutely nothing up to this point to, say that those wins were notable. Obviously, IU did what they needed to do against a team that was nowhere near kind of on the same level as them and beat the brakes off of both of them, right? So they did what they needed to do, but that's not really going to help them in a month from now, 2 months from now, if they fall to Kentucky, because then you look at their out of conference notable wins and you don't have one. So I think that's why it's a little bit more of a win that Indiana needs to have, because we've seen, they can lay an egg with the best of them in that and I think you're not to say that this team, right, is going to go through conference play and lay a bunch of eggs here, but I think we've seen enough of this team now 10 11 games in that they're going to be able to shoot 52% from three on any given night. They're also going to shoot 30% from three potentially on any given night. Now, I will say with that, the offensive flow and the rhythm against Penn State was much, much better than it was in the previous two games. A lot of that, I think, had to do with the change from Reed Bailey to Sam Alexis. Not necessarily that one started over the other, but what they did when Reed Bailey was in the game. He's a much more perimeter-oriented player. They brought him out on the perimeter. They put him on the high post. they allowed the offense to flow through him a little bit more with his passing ability. You saw Tucker DeVries get open a couple of times on some back screens. Reed Bailey was able to find him, Lamar Wilkerson as well, on a couple slips there for 3. And Penn State, obviously, I don't know what scouting report they had in front of them, but I cannot get over how many open threes that Lamar Wilkerson did have in that game. Even in the second.
Well, but let's be fair. What we're calling an open 3, not necessarily as shot for a lot of people. I'm kidding. It just seemed like it got to a point where you could tell when it touched his hands, it was going.
They had some bad breakdowns, and so I think a little bit of that kind of helped Indiana's offensive flow. But Darren DeVries, right, has already shown through the first month that he will make adjustments. He will get back to the drawing board and figure out ways to make this offense flow better. And he's been open about the physical play of Minnesota, the quickness of Louisville definitely hurt them, and they spent a lot of time on the offensive side of the ball in practice. And obviously it showed with some subtle things that they did in that Penn State game. And I thought it was interesting. It was Zach Browning here from the Hoosier.com who asked Darren DeVries yesterday when we had him available for some time on Zoom, what is the situational basketball when you're calling plays or just letting the team flow and kind of play more motion basketball? How much is that is set versus just free flowing? And he talked about on most misses, it's all motion. He's not going to call a lot of plays because he wants the team to get out in the open floor and just play basketball, not be very structured. He said on makes, a lot of the time he will be a more structured, set, action-oriented coach. But he also said that, a lot of that is going to be based off of game flow as well. He said in the second half, right, they went away from some things that they normally could have done or would have done to keep Lamar Wilkerson in the flow of things. And we've seen that, right, with Tucker DeVries too, when in that Marquette game, in some of these other games, when he's hot, when some of these guys are absolutely scorching hot, they will continue to go at them and they will continue to run specific plays or specific actions to get them open. So I think that's the biggest thing about this offense here moving forward, that you're going to continue to see it make subtle tweaks and subtle actions that'll come off different sets that, let's be honest, was never there over the last 8 years of Indiana basketball. So I think in that way, it should be encouraging, that Penn State game, albeit against obviously a very, very much less opponent than what Indiana saw, obviously against Louisville, and just physicality wise, what they saw against Minnesota.
Yeah, but the timing aspect, perfect, because you've got that momentum going right now and you're out of that funk. And one of the things that Lamar Wilkerson talked about, he'd kind of let that get to his head. It had gotten.
He had made just 10 threes combined in the previous 6 games. So you go even more just over the last couple of games. He was 10 of 40,
staggering stat.
Because the first 3 games he was shooting about, close to 50, I think it was 50 some percent from 3 when he got off to that terrific start. And then the last 6 games going into Tuesday, he was 10 of 40. Obviously he made 10 threes alone against Penn State. So it was not just a recent slump that he was in. It was a major slump that he was in shooting the ball. And I talked about, I'd asked Darren DeVries, I think it was after one of the more recent home games before Penn State, after the game, about Lamar Wilkerson's struggles in him forcing the 3, because he was one, I can't remember which game it was, but he was 1 of 8 in the first half from 3, and really kind of settled down in the second half, and they got him a lot more open looks at the rim. And it was kind of that give and take of, you want him to get going from the perimeter, but a lot of what he can do can also be super beneficial getting into the paint. He had some really good back cuts, and he's a guy that obviously, as we saw, terrific shooter, but a lot of his game can also open up if he gets a couple open looks at the basket. And I think that was, something that, Indiana is going to continue to try to do. We talked about it with with Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson, a lot of those wing on wing screen actions and slips and pops that both of those guys can do, because that's an extremely difficult cover. You have 2 45+% 3-point shooters, and both of those guys need very little room, and both of those guys good playmakers. So the more action that Darren DeVries is going to get with both of those guys on the perimeter, with one of those guys having the ball in their hands, it is going to be super beneficial for this team, because then you're just going to draw so many more defenders either on the roll or on the pop and open things up for the rest of the offense. And we saw obviously a little bit of that, obviously predicated around Wilkerson there on Tuesday night.
The Heisman Trophy presentation happens tomorrow night at 7 on ESPN in New York City. Fernando Mendoza, the prohibitive favorite to win that award for the first time in Indiana history. Anthony Thompson, of course, got screwed out of that award back in '89. But all the things that have gone on, it's hard to imagine anything could be bigger. Of course, national championship, all that. But even with that, you're like, okay, so much has already happened. There's not room for any more new number ones, any more new this great, but there's so much more that is possible to come this season yet. National Coach of the Year, which ones have not come out yet? Coach Cignetti already has back-to-back in the Walter Camp, a first in that organization's history. But this Heisman, it's one of the biggest awards, if not the biggest individual award in all of sports, because of its notoriety. If I asked someone to name me the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners, they'd probably have a better shot at it than naming the last 5 NBA MVPs or something like that. But the Heisman. That's a deal. You get to go live in the Heisman house. No, I'm just kidding. But it's
you get to be on the Heisman commercials.
That's no joke. But what it does for your program, your school. I mean, this is going to be a permanent. This is huge if Indiana can bring that home.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's already huge that they got to this point. And again, I think I don't want to, just gloss over the fact that Curtis Rourke was top 10 last year in the Heisman voting as well. So you have 2 back-to-back quarterbacks who really were. I don't want to say Fernando Mendoza was an afterthought, but Curtis Rourke was probably an afterthought. Obviously, we heard from Fernando Mendoza on Tuesday, and he talked about how he wasn't on that initial list of projected Heisman finalists and Heisman winners on, when they put the first list out in the preseason, when they put the list out a couple games into the season. And he said after that Illinois game was the first time that he saw his name on there, and he started to think, okay, wow, maybe this could actually be something. So it's obviously been a terrific ride. It's been an historic season in almost every single category that you can potentially think of. Still a lot more to go. I think it's fun to hear about, Fernando Mendoza is one of the all-time great interviews that anyone in media can probably dream of, with how open he is, but how detailed he is. And I thought it was just super interesting and fun to listen to him on Tuesday talk about specifically that recruiting visit to Yale, and I had a story about this up yesterday where, he went to Yale and committed to Yale back in 2021. He was the 2015th best player in the 2022 class, right? Never thought that this would be possible, and took a picture at Yale with the Heisman Trophy because they had back-to-back winners.
I know. You didn't get it. You didn't happen to get it, did you?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. Let me stop you right there then. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and finish that. I reached out trying to get that picture. I think I sent you a message. Didn't get it either. Hey, we've got lots more coming up. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with us on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you with us. Back with more right after these messages. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. I hope your driveway's cleared off. If you're south of, I don't know where it kind of crossed, Greenwood, maybe. I'd have to look at the map. I know it was at an angle. You're on the north side, right? Of
smack
well, yeah,
downtown.
Yeah, that's right. You still got 2 inches, so you're in that little easy, nice little Christmas time. This is Christmas time snow here. Or for you all it is. Here, this is serious stuff for us. But what were we discussing at the break?
The crazy story, right, of Fernando Mendoza going to Yale, right? His recruiting visit back in 2021.
I reached out. So while we're sitting in that presser, Alec, I looked up the football media relations contact for Yale and emailed them asking if they had that photo. And I didn't get a response. Disappointed. I was hoping to get that picture. I'm going to throw that into your head. You might want to follow up with that. But because it would still be a cool picture to get to compare them.
Yeah,
but,
no, I mean, absolutely. It's just like, it's great. I mean, his main quote was literally like, "Wow, look how cool this is! I get to hold the Heisman." All right, and now you kind of come full circle. Decommit from Yale, go to Cal. 3 years later, transfer to Indiana, have a little bit more pub around your name, and then start to obviously play the way that he has this year, and lead this team. And how about that article from the Players Tribune from his mom yesterday? Did you get a chance to read that?
Which, yours?
No. The player hit from his mom. The Players Tribune, the letter to Fernando.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, like, it's just the
stuff.
The family.
That's another reason why you need to be on the Hoosier.com, people. That was an incredible piece.
And the family. It was after the game on Saturday. Obviously a bunch of the media in the tunnel there waiting for the players to come out and go into the locker room after the field. And after some of the media started to kind of disperse a little bit, I stayed back because Alberto came out and gave his mom and dad a hug. And the expectation was Fernando was going to come out, and he did. They had probably 30 family members, 40 family members there. Such a moment to see, Fernando, Alberto, and their little brother with their parents and the hugs that he had. But I just thought it was the one quote that his mom had in that article yesterday that she put out was, just always making her seen. Obviously, she's dealing with a lot, that whole family is. And I thought it was just, what a moment for this family, for this university, for Fernando. It's going to be fun, regardless, right, of what happens on Saturday. Just a terrific family that obviously is going to be beloved by this community for forever.
And I don't know that it could have been a better representative, better ambassador for Indiana football than not just Fernando, but Fernando Mendoza and his family for reasons you just mentioned. Wow, what people, we should all be jealous that if we don't have, those of us that don't have a situation like that, hey, be jealous. That's nicely jealous. That's great to see, to hear, and you understand why he's so flippin' good at those TV interviews, man. I still it cracks me up, but no, he's gonna be fun, and I've just been with all of these interviews that we've seen him do this season after these post-game interviews. Now, if big if he wins the Heisman, this is the TV speech of all TV speeches. It won't be like a game because you're not going to have the jacked up emotions of just winning and just the raw emotion. This is a different this is the culmination emotion. And so boy, we could probably see a lot of emotion here.
Oh, I think there's no doubt. I mean, you've seen a lot of emotion after just normal games. And for everything that, again, that this means, a guy who is just so, he said that after the Big Ten championship, right, he couldn't fall asleep. So he spent hours just watching different speeches from the Heisman trophy presentation throughout the years. Spent a lot of time just looking at the history, even in more detail. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously, very, different scenarios, different situation, but it could almost look like that Kevin Durant MVP speech when he was talking about his mom. I could see something, similar to that, just about how emotional he could get. But I mean, obviously still has to get through and win the Heisman before we, continue to talk about it even in more detail. But yeah, just what it would do to the program, the university, the state, and I think college football in general, right? I mean, this is you look at, obviously, Travis Hunter, who won it at Colorado last year. That was kind of an outlier, right? It's Colorado, but it was more the Dion and the
great point,
just the talent. But you look at the schools that have won in Indiana getting up there, right? I mean, you don't see that. It's the Bamas, the LSU's, the Southern.
Ohio State had three players off of this team in the top 10.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. Like, you just look at, just even in the recent history, but if you even go more, further down the line, right? It's for the most part, right? It's those bigger brands. You had Louisville with Lamar, but outside of that, right? It's probably go down the list. You probably get a lot of Oklahomas, right? Just off the top of my head, I think there's at least 3 or 4. Obviously, at the quarterback position, Alabama, Florida. Right, and Southern Cal and everything there, but you don't see in Indiana, and that's, I think, the bigger thing for college football now. Even you look at the Vanderbilt, right, with Diego Pavia, right? That's something that you don't see as well either. Just an Indiana Vanderbilt that are the top 2 theoretically, right? I mean, you still have Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Love there, but the top 2 are from non-traditional. Not even non-traditional powers, just very, very low, even in their conference teams in Indiana and Vanderbilt. So it'll be fun regardless. This is obviously a huge moment for this program, regardless of what happens. But I think Fernando Mendoza would be the first one to tell you that if he could sacrifice winning the Heisman for a national championship, he'd do it in a heartbeat. So that's where this program wants to really celebrate. Is obviously a month from now winning a national championship.
And as crazy, I don't even know how to ask this question because it's so crazy, but as crazy has already been, and it's been beyond crazy. I mean, I think most people, media or not, your mind is still swimming, trying to take this in. This really just Indiana just beat Ohio State's ass for the Big Ten championship, the number 1 seed, blah, blah, and all that. And so it's like, wait a minute, this stuff's real. And it's like, wow, now it's got to play out. But with that, the loss of Stephen Daly, I think of the losses Indiana has had this year, and he replaced someone that they lost. This is the most devastating loss that they've had for a couple. Number one, because of the timing. When he replaced Kellen Wyatt, he had those 7 games to use to get acclimated, to get good, to get better. They don't have that now. And so you've got that, and now and you've taken down your depth a little bit more. But more importantly, he was a badass. He was a wrecking machine. So, man, it's a major loss.
I mean, yeah, obviously you can't really, overstate that. Just how big of a loss that is. I think right at the same time, you got to put a lot of trust and faith and expectation that Brian Haynes is going to get it done. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to find someone or something to kind of step into that spot, not bring the exact same production, right? But maybe you do something that opens up things for Mikel Kamara a little bit more, right? An All-American last year, he just hasn't had the production this year. Maybe there's a guy who just steps up and has a big moment. This team has, done a terrific job, playing with a chip on their shoulder and playing with the mentality that it's kind of, them and just the local community versus everyone else nationally. So I have no doubt that this defense is still going to be, just as good. But obviously a significant loss, and there's no other way to put it than it just sucks for him to have this injury at this time. And it's not even that he was doing anything crazy, right? I think everyone's mind probably went to, someone being stupid in a post-game celebration. He was just high-fiving people, high-fiving fans, and just randomly tweaked everything there. So obviously just devastated for him in general, to play that good, be an All-American on numerous different outlets, for the season that he had. And obviously his career's over now at this point, right? He'll be off to the NFL in some capacity, but just hate for that to happen the way that it did.
Absolutely. Oh geez, what was I? Indiana. This is just an off the subject question. Indiana football, though. What do you think they do at quarterback? Personally, I think they bring in a veteran portal quarterback, and I'm not saying it will be like Sam Levitt, but someone a la Sam Levitt, who is greatly experienced, who has won at the top level, and is ready to go right now. I think Alberto is a very, very good quarterback, obviously, but he'll have 3 years left. So I think he's probably going to be a year away personally from starting. I think, never know. He'll have this health from now until next year to continue to get better. So, but I think personally they bring in a portal quarterback.
I think they bring in 2.
Oh wow!
I mean, they don't.
Okay,
they don't
double down. There you go.
They don't have a 2026 signee at quarterback. Obviously Tyler Cherry, really talented kid from a couple classes ago. What was obviously out this entire year after suffering
I keep forgetting about him.
Yeah, but I mean, right now he's basically kind of like your pseudo QB3. They need more depth. They need more experience depth. And that's, I don't think they're going to bring in two guys, obviously, that are going to compete for a starting spot. I think they'll bring in one player, very high level player who, let's be frank, I think will still have to compete with Alberto. Alberto has a lot of things on any transfer portal quarterback coming in, and that's knowledge, and that's knowledge of this system and this scheme. But then I do think like a Grant Wilson type player that they brought in this offseason, a veteran who is going to be okay not seeing the field, but just they need another veteran body in there. They can't go into the season with the expectation that it's going to be 2 guys that kind of man that. I think they still need a third body there. And if Tyler Cherry wins out kind of that QB3 battle or moves up even a little bit more, right, then that's great for you. But then I just think they bring in a high level guy, compete for the starting job with Alberto. Probably got to feel good about either one of those spots. But let's be honest, Indiana is going to be the destination for a transfer quarterback after what they've done the past 2 years. So you're going to be able to pick from anything. It's not like 2 years ago, or it's not like 3 years ago where you had to grasp at straws to get someone, right? Every quarterback in the portal is going to want to come to Bloomington. And so I think that just makes life a little bit easier for this staff to go through, its extreme evaluation process that it's become, so well known for, and has hit. Let's be honest. You don't find many programs like Indiana who have hit on so many transfer additions. I mean, that is it. Not just good players, right? CJ West, Stephen Daly, right? The list goes on and on of guys who were not necessarily, again, afterthoughts, but come from, a mid-major level and now are going to be NFL players, All-Americans, All Big Ten. Obviously, what they've done with the JMU guys who have, now come over, obviously Aiden Fisher, Mikel Kamara, D'Angelo Pons, right? Again, that list goes on and on. But it's just the development and the evaluation that this staff has is second to none. And I think, they're going to continue to do that. But now they're going to get even more talent that wants to come there. And they're going to have the ability to really be able to pick at every single position who they want. Whereas 2 years ago, they probably didn't have that option. Now that's the door that opens up with the type of success in the first 2 years that they've had.
Well, we'll certainly see, and that's what doing all of this has afforded Indiana. And it's this is how you build a program, man. And it's so funny, all of these major programs that are trying to – Cignetti is causing problems at a lot of places. He's causing problems that which it's not that other schools didn't want to win before. Of course they did. Everybody wants to win. But the fact that they're able to win at Indiana, it pisses them off. It pisses them off at Ole Miss. It pisses them off at Florida, at LSU, where they have many more millions of dollars in NIL resources and history and all that. But the one thing is the history is great, but the history is starting to it will always matter, but I think that's going to matter less. You can create your own history like Indiana has done under Kurt Cignetti, which has just been fantastic and amazing to watch. So who does Indiana play? Alabama or Oklahoma?
Alabama.
Yeah. I'm hoping
Oklahoma has a much better defense, but Bama can get hot in a hurry. Oklahoma's offense is very subpar, in my opinion. You need to score points. Because especially in the top half, let's look at the top half of that bracket. Oh my goodness, the defenses: Oklahoma, Indiana, Texas Tech. I mean, that is absolutely absurd. The type of defensive talent that the top half of that bracket has. It's going to be a lot of low scoring games. If you win any game, you definitely deserve it because of what you're going to have to go through up there. But yeah, I think Alabama's offense is just very inconsistent, but I'll take a streaky offense right now to put up a couple points and get hot. And if they do, I think that's going to be, assuming everyone's healthy. They still have another week to go here, but I take Bama over Oklahoma.
Well, we'll certainly see, and I'm looking forward to it because we'll have Coach DeBoer on with us. Looking forward to that. Hey, a big thanks to Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Like I said, if you do not have a subscription, you are missing out on unbelievable coverage across the board. Also, anyone that subscribes today and emails me at indianasportsbeat@gmail.com, I will send you one of these Indiana IU embroidered. It's a red IU embroidered with the ISB logo on it as well. Champion quarter zip. So that's just for entering or for subscribing.
Do it.
Do it. That's right. That's it. And you also get entered in the grand prize giveaway. It's got all kinds of good stuff, man. And more importantly, you get the great content like Alec has got out right now. and the national content. Man, good stuff. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it. Have a good weekend and stay warm. It's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold.
That it is. That it is. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. We've got lots more coming up. We're back with it and more after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's C-O-Y-L-E, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. Glad to have you along. Hope you're enjoying your snow-filled day at the end of this week, and I hope your week went well. Big week for the Indiana Hoosiers, as I know lots of other things going on as well. Bad week for the Colts, man, losing their daggone quarterback, Daniels, and to another torn Achilles. Man, that's an injury that has really jumped up here in the last few years. But and then to bring in Old Man Rivers, not what I expected. I'm like, really? There's no one out there that I guess not. That's just crazy to me. But now they're on I don't want to say life support as far as the playoffs go, because they're still where they are, but it's got to make things difficult. But hey, the Colts were a hell of a story to start the season. What kind of a story would they be if Old Man Rivers rolled in and just got the Colts to the playoffs? That would just add legacy to the lore, baby. Or is it lore to the legacy? What a huge weekend down in Lexington. Anybody going to the basketball game? I mean, Lexington will be jacked. You've got Indiana in for the first time in over, was it 14 years? I can't remember. Too long. Way too long. Indiana has a chance in this game. A chance. They have to play. I'm not going to say they have to shoot like they shot the other night, because those are just rarities. But they're going to have to do something special. They're going to have to do something extra. You can't just go in to Rupp Arena and play average when you are
above average and expect to win, even though Kentucky's not a great team. They're the home team, and they also they know the pressure. They're playing Indiana. They do not want to lose. Well, they don't want to lose, period. It's not going great, but they damn sure don't want to lose to Indiana at home on the resumption of this series. I think Indiana's won 2 out of the last 3 regular season games right now. That would just be kind of funny. But it would, it would really, there's already some alarms going off in Lexington, but that would, I think that would scurry the Minutemen about down there. Fairly or unfairly. But I did see, that's another great thing about getting a subscription to the Hoosier.com, as you can get on there and go around to the different places, like to the Kentucky site, KSR, which I was on there a couple of days ago because there's a piece in their on KSR about Kentucky's basketball recruiting. And the recruiting roadblocks that they're facing. NIL and the closing table drama, apparently. So, but you can go find out what's going on with them, what's being said, what their fans are saying on their boards. That's where it gets interesting. But then the pressure on Indiana if you don't win that game. Boy, oh boy. It's not going to be that often that you get the chance to go to Lexington, especially when you haven't played them in a regular season game in 1,000 years, and have a real solid chance of catching them on their heels and knocking them off. This is one of those opportunities. Indiana has got to shoot the ball, because I cannot imagine that they don't get out rebounded in this game. They're going to have to continue to make hay, points off of turnovers to make up for the rebounding situation. And the defense staying out of foul trouble. The depth is getting a little bit better. Guys like Ristic slowly coming along. Nick Dorn picking up the pace as he continues to show not only improvement, but potential. Potential. Well, I know they have a chance. David says he sure hopes they have a chance. They have a chance. That's what I'm saying. This is one of those rare opportunities. Well, it's not a rare opportunity to have a chance, but you only get one chance to make a first impression. This is kind of like, well, this is Darren DeVries' first impression to Kentucky fans. Indiana, Kentucky hasn't played for so long, and he's the new coach. Boom. Go in there, set the stage, get a little of that animosity going. That's one I would love to see happen. But I am really fired up for Fernando Mendoza and his family, and hoping that things work out well for them this weekend. It would just be an incredible culmination to see and to show people that your life's journey, man, you're in charge of your own destiny. And I'm pretty sure he is very happy with how his laid out. And how ironic is it that his destiny ultimately was guided by his little brother. His little brother, who originally had committed to JMU, Cignetti at JMU, came to Indiana in the changeover. So if it wasn't for Alberto, Fernando would not be in New York winning the Heisman Trophy. Crazy. But that's how life works out, man. Great to see. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask Alec. Something that if I were looking at this as an Indiana football fan, the one thing that would really have me, I don't know if worried is the right word or something to be concerned about. Indiana has controlled, Kurt Cignetti rather, has controlled everything for Indiana for the last 2 years, as far as their schedule. Even last season, they did not play in the Big Ten championship, so I guess they still had 3 weeks off in between games when they went to Notre Dame. A little beat up, kind of like they are now. This year, not only do they have 3 weeks off, you've got all of this stuff going on. All of these awards that they're going to, being flown to, boom, boom, all over the place. Not just New York for the Heisman this weekend. They're, everywhere. This is when they squeeze all these in. Charlotte here for that, and Las Vegas for that. It's a whirlwind. How do you keep that focus? Because not everybody's doing this. Not everybody's winning the Heisman. Not everybody's going to be the National Coach of the Year 4 or 5 times. Not everybody's going to be the AP Player of the Year, the Maxwell Award winner, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Big Ten quarterback, first team. That's a lot of stuff. And I'm not saying that Fernando can't handle it. It's managing the focus. How this is going to be the biggest challenge for Kurt Cignetti yet. Not only do you have Fernando's probably not a problem. His mind is what it is. You got to keep everybody else locked in, and I know that. But something I was thinking about yesterday, man, how bad do you feel for Stephen Daly? Worked his ass off to get to the position that he got to coming from the MAC to becoming potentially the most dominant down lineman in Division I football defensively. Funny, he was just a honorable mention all Big Ten, yet he was an All-American because he caught the Big Ten by surprise. They weren't smart enough to open the stat book and look, oh yeah, he's leading the nation. Yeah, Fred, I wish Mark Cuban was providing his jet on the way to New York. That would be cool, huh? But I feel so bad for Daly. This is a dude that worked his butt off, got to where he did what he did for Indiana. I mean, don't forget, he was a replacement for Kellen Wyatt. As a replacement, he becomes the most dominant player in down defensive lineman in the country. Disruptive. Just a problem. I mean, a problem for offenses. And now that's been removed. It's a huge issue for Indiana. I'm not going to lie. It's going to make it more difficult. I know. I agree with you, Brad. Next up, but this is tough, man. he was the next up. You're only going to have so many next ups. No doubt about it, but I would have loved to have seen Indiana go in there full tilt, because Indiana's one of those teams that kind of needs to be full tilt. They don't have, even though I think that they were the number one team. Well, and when they're at full health, there's no doubt they're the number one team in the country. But they don't have the roster that Ohio State or Texas Tech or Georgia or maybe even Oregon has. And I know that they beat both of those teams. It's not what I'm saying. They don't have the roster depth. So I wonder, can Indiana go on this run? Can they win those 3 games that they're going to have to win against top level talent? Let's say it's Alabama. Well, you know what kind of talent they have. I mean, as far as personnel. And that's where things change, man. Then if you beat Alabama, odds are you'll play Oregon next or Texas Tech, right? And then your reward would be probably playing Ohio State again. Would not like to see that rematch without Indiana being at full health on the defensive side. That was part of what made the difference. But as Robert says, why not you guys? Why not Indiana? I have no idea if Mark Cuban is going to the Heisman ceremony. No idea whatsoever. I don't know that he would. Don't know that he wouldn't. I mean, if I had a private jet, I would. I would have loved to have gone. I had thought about it, actually. And if Indiana hadn't been playing Kentucky tomorrow, very possible that I may have done it. But then you add into the fact that we've also got to go to Pasadena in a couple of weeks. And if things go well, that will be followed by a trip to Atlanta. And if things go well, followed by a trip to Miami for Indiana to play in the national championship. A lot of things have to happen in between points A and Z there. Get Indiana get through and win a title with the struggles that they've had health-wise here of late. And it'll be interesting. And if they do, wow, it will be even more so unbelievable, because they will have, and I would, since the NIL or since RevShare, it just started, but they will have for years to come the least expensive payroll to win a national title if they win a national championship, because it pales in comparison to Ohio State, to Texas Tech, to Georgia, to Oregon, Alabama. Pales in comparison. Don't forget NIL, RevShare, different. We've got to take a break. Got lots more coming. Appreciate you being with us. Go out and shovel off your sidewalk. Jim Coyle with you, back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing, or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing.
Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. Glad to have you along. Darren DeVries spoke with the media yesterday ahead of traveling to Lexington to take on the Wildcats at Rupp Arena tomorrow evening. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
I'm just pleased with kind of the improvements you made over the last 2 games. And, you know, when you is it get back to basics in practice, or what do you kind of do to kind of refocus them?
Yeah, we had gone back here, after the Minnesota game and looked at some of the offensive, like what caused it, because it was, there wasn't a lot of movement and things. So as we went backwards, looking at some games early in the season, comparing it to now, it stood out pretty good. So we put a ton of time here this last week on just getting more actions, more movement. And sometimes you can't always do that. People deny you can't just throw the ball from side to side. So at some point you still have to be able to go make a play. But I thought the guys did a really good job tonight keeping the ball, as we like to say, hot. Keep it hot and keep it moving. And player and ball movement I thought was really good tonight. Yeah, I think it's great for him. I think even for really good shooters, you start to sometimes if you overthink it, you can start to press a little bit in your own mind. But when he gets 1 or 2 down, you could just see like it was just a relief for him tonight. That and then after that, it was then it was just fun. He's. We need him. He's an important piece, especially for our offense. He draws a lot of gravity, and he for that reason. And, when we can get him going, and then on a night, we get one of those other guys going, or if you can get 2 of them going on the same night, that's where, offensively you can have a night like this.
I guess to that end, just how important is it for, 5 different guys in double figures? The whole team sees 17 threes go through the basket. I know a couple of down nights shooting coming into this. Just how important is a night like this where maybe, A, they sort of feed off a teammate the way you talked about, and B, just everybody gets to feel a little bit more confident at the end of it?
Yeah, I think that's always good, from, confidence individually, collectively as a team. And it's funny how that works sometimes, like – one guy gets it going, it seems like everybody feels like they're hot. So, and really the Louisville game, I thought we had, better movement and things. We still got up to 80 points, but, some of those looks, we just didn't hit them, knock them down the way that we would have liked. But it was nice to see tonight, 30 assists to go with it. I think that's a big piece of it too, like we've talked about all year. You have 30 assists. Usually that means we were getting pretty clean, good looks, the kind of shots that we wanted.
Coach, what led to the lineup change tonight, and how do you feel like Reed responded?
Yeah, lineup change, like I told Reed and Sam, it wasn't really anything more than we just want to try to create a spark. Wasn't anything negative towards either one of them. We wanted to take a look at it. I thought Reed responded great, and like you knew he would. I thought it freed him up a little bit, gave him coming off the bench maybe just a chance to process, as the game's going. Allows us with Sam just a little more physicality to start the game, and then Reed come in and kind of utilize some of his speed and things. So, he handled it great. I thought he did a nice job coming off the bench for us tonight. Very aggressive.
To start off, first of all, just congrats to the football team on their incredible accomplishment. That's pretty sweet. And then also want to wish volleyball, good luck as they get ready for Texas in their Sweet 16 match.
All right, go ahead, Alex.
Darren, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. I'm curious, just we haven't, I guess, talked to you before the last couple of games, but when you look back at the Minnesota Louisville games, it seemed like they really tried to be physical with Lamar and Tucker, especially on the perimeter with catches. And I know you mentioned a couple of times like back cuts and different kind of reactions, things you can do to kind of relieve some of that pressure. But how much of an emphasis has that been like in practice leading up to this part of the schedule in terms of just figuring out some counters when the defenses maybe are a little bit more aggressive and trying to overplay those guys?
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time. I thought the Minnesota game for us offensively was, something that, we had to learn from, and it wasn't just the movement. It's the combination of everything we had going, just from being a little stagnant. Yet they got into us. They didn't allow us the freedom to, go as we wanted to freely, so it was more about how do we set better screens? How do we set up those screens, both Lamar and Tucker, so that they're coming off a little cleaner? So I thought it was good for us. I thought even in the Louisville game, they were very aggressive early, but I thought as the game went on, we were able to get guys free and we were able to get those looks. So I thought we made a really good step there. And then I thought, again, the other night, I thought we were able to kind of get away and get some guys some free catches and looks. So we'll continue to focus on that. We know they're going to see a lot of attention. There's going to be some physicality to it, and we just got to continue to find ways to get them loose.
Daniel, then Trevor.
Yeah, just on Reed and Sam, is that a kind of spot in the lineup that you think might, change week to week? And when you went back and watched Reed, it kind of seemed like he was playing a kind of inspired brand of ball. How much of that was just kind of not starting, and just kind of what do you think clicked for him? Sorry.
I thought Reed played, very well. Whether it was not starting that contributed to it, nobody knows for sure. But I did think he played pretty loose and free and aggressive, very confident. So that was good to see from that standpoint. Like I told Sam and Reed, it was more just, hey, we're going to try and shake it up a little bit, see if what that looks like for us, and like everything, nothing's permanent ever, but if it's working, we'll continue to stay with it.
Trevor, then Mike.
Yeah, how important is this Kentucky series, and just having it year to year coming up? And do you have any memories about the IU Kentucky series in the past?
Yeah, I think it's a great series. I hope we can continue this forever. And we got this is the first year of a 4-game stretch, so I think it's great for both programs. I think it's great for college basketball. I think it's something that certainly both our programs are excited about, and I know both our fan bases are excited about. These are great non-conference games that we want to be a part of and want to play. And I think my only memory probably is the game winner. However many years ago that was, but I remember watching that one on TV myself. So that was a pretty exciting call. I was even visiting with Dick Vitale. I think he had the game the last time that on that game, that shot. I think he had the call for that game.
Mike, and then Alec.
Hey, Coach, going back to the Sam and Reed topic, I'm curious, as you start to face some of these teams like Kentucky and Big Ten teams that have a ton of size and maybe have multiple bigs on the floor sometimes, what's your thought process on pros and cons of playing them together right now?
I think for us, we've done it some, and in the summer and the fall, we've done it a little bit in some of the preseason games. The biggest challenge for us is just depth. We don't have a third big right now that we can put in there. If there's foul trouble or whatever, so it's hard for us to give them many minutes together. It's something we would love to be able to explore and do a little bit more of, but right now it's just the lack of bodies to be able to sub and keep them fresh and productive, and then the foul trouble piece as well.
Alec, then Jeff.
Darren, with Kentucky specifically, looks like they're still kind of trying to form some sort of an identity offensively, but 5 guys come in with double figures, have some versatility there on the perimeter. Just what about them really kind of sticks out to you when they are clicking on all cylinders?
I think the biggest thing for them, when you look at the games they've played well, they've scored easily. The games they've struggled, they just haven't shot it very well, and they have a good shooting team. When you look at their stats from last year, percentages and things, some of the guys just haven't shot it as well, and I'm sure as the season goes on, those numbers will start to come back to the norm. It's just they've had some games where that hasn't been the case. So incredibly talented, gifted offensive team, and they can hurt you in a lot of ways. And that 3-point shooting, if you start to add that to it, then they become really scary.
There's Coach Darren DeVries talking to the media ahead of tomorrow's game with Kentucky. That first part was actually from the other day. I apologize. But, it's going to be interesting. What can they do on this is going to be an environment that most of them have never faced. 23,000 people will be down there, and they will not want their beloved Wildcats to lose. Oh, no, not to the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana's got enough going on good in life. Their football program is the envy of everybody. Man, what a weekend it could be. Good luck to Fernando Mendoza on winning a Heisman tomorrow. I think that, it looks very good. Obviously, he is the overwhelming favorite, but that's all based on, I'm not sure what it's based on, to be honest with you. Is it Vegas doing what's, they do, how they do, what they do? Because it's not polling. They're not polling writers. Heisman writers are asked not to reveal whom they voted for until after the presentation happens tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing how that goes down, but I think it's just going to be yet again another spectacular night for Indiana, and it's a win no matter what. Trust you me. There be people around the country watching it. Quarterbacks, recruits. Big thanks to each and every one of you. Alec, Lasley, go to thehoosier.com. Get signed up today, and you get some merch in your life. We're back to do it again. Hopefully we've got a post-game show with Scott Leskowski after the UK game. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.